Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos.
What's greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. Cecilia, it's good to see you. Good to be back on the show. And we are not just talking sports tonight. We'll continue to monitor situations going on right there in Ukraine. We're not oblivious of the fact that the world needs peace at this time. And we believe that sports can be used, to foster that long-lasting peace.
Yeah, that's our prayer, obviously, especially with the whole world right now. When IOC, that's International Olympic Committee, gave the directive on Saturday that all federations should cease whatever event they want to host in Russia, all of them should be cancelled. Each of the federations we've seen, they've all come out, to actually issue one ban or the other. UEFA and FIFA, of course, they come up with their own. After Poland, categorically saying that they will not be playing against Russia in the World Cup qualifier. Of course, the likes of Lewandowski had to, give voice to that. Then you have Formula One drivers, all of them coming up. Then this afternoon, World Athletics is also saying they're banning all Russian athletes. We know they already have issues with doping where athletes can compete neutral. But then, right now, none of the athletes can even compete as long as you're from Russia. So ITF, International Tennis Federation, also, there's also a ban of all their players. So it's a whole lot going on in Russia right now. And all these federations are actually doing this in solidarity with Ukraine because, they've actually broken the Olympic truce. We know what it's all about. When you're a member of the Olympics, so you have to maintain peace at all times. And that's what they really want. That's why everyone is calling out to, issue one ban or the other on Russia. So it's a whole lot going on in the world right now, Austin.
Yes, I agree, Cecilia. And when we talk about the Olympics, what comes to mind first is peace. And that's what we are preaching. Audrey Rublev, when he won in his last competition, he went to the camera and he wrote, "No war, please." Danny Medvedev is supposed to be celebrating that he's world #1, is likely to lose the sport, is likely to be suspended. This is no joke. The world just wants peace. And we believe that sports persons, look, it's not about taking sides because people are beginning to say, oh, you're taking, no. In our world of sports, we preach fair play. We preach peace. We preach the spirit of sportsmanship. And that's what the world just needs for us to get along. You know what I'm saying? World Rugby, in fact, they took it a step further. They didn't just only suspend Russia, they suspended Belarus also, and said until further notice, their membership is off. Look, we just want a sane environment. We just want everybody to come together, live as one. And by the time we start hearing of these stories and how we can use sports to transform lives, to promote peace in our community. The other day we talked about sports diplomacy, and we know the power that it has to bring persons together, shared values. I've seen so much love given to Ukraine, particularly from the sporting world, and I'm saying that if we can sustain this and let it go around, then maybe people will not be fighting, countries will not be fighting. But we understand that this is international relations, this is international politics, and there's some undertone that sports cannot control. But when it comes out, we're saying that everybody should just keep aside their, their differences, keep aside their selfish interests, and just for the love of the game, just cohabit with one another, and let's just have a peaceful society, Cecilia.
Yeah, I just wish they will be able to do that. And also, talking about different athletes joining in that fold, trying as much as possible to give a voice to what's currently going on. Tyson Fury is one of them, said he will join up to fight in Ukraine if he's being asked to do that. That's a heavyweight champion right there, wanting to also support. He said, for instance, if the UK are sending forces to Ukraine, he will be one of them. Expect to fight April 23rd. But he's telling the whole world, look, I'm ready to really fight. So I'm happy that the sport world, they're not sleeping, athletes are not sleeping. All of them, they're showing support, to Ukraine because of what's currently going on. So even if he's preparing for his bout against Dillian White, 23rd of April at Wembley, but he's still having, that just also, trying as much as possible to give a voice, to the people of Ukraine. And also, we know we have a lot of Nigerian players that are still in Ukraine. We'll try as much as possible to make contact with one of them them who's been able to escape from Ukraine and go to London. There's so many of them that are still there stranded. We're happy that the federal government already said by Wednesday they'll start evacuating all the Nigerians that are currently in Ukraine. We just hope that they will be able to travel down and all of them will be safe. But Austin, there's so much to talk about on the program. Before our guests will join us on the show, let's just quickly touch down on basketball. Yes, the league is not going on, but you know we've been having different individuals trying to come up with different events just to keep the players busy. First it was all about the men, but right now we're having the ladies also having to play. And this time around is the 3-on-3 basketball. I mean, when you talk about the 3-on-3 basketball, just 3 players against 3, and of course they use the half court and not the full court. But then when you have a 3-on-3 National Women Invitational that was held over the weekend, where MFM had to feed 2 teams, and of course they ended up winning this one. It marked the ball in Abuja, they finished 6th. But after playing that was more like the first tournament they were playing in like how many years. But this time around they won this edition. They were playing against a team formed by a player that's Nkechi Akashi. You remember her in 2017 or 2015 when she was MVP Afrobasket. So right now she's got her own basketball team. It's 3-on-3, so that's what she's been doing, just trying to keep busy. But they lost to Team MFM 15-10 in the final, and at the end of the day, what they really want to do is to play basketball. They want to play. They want to see what the federation or the ministry, what any of them can do to ensure that, yes, they are able to play basketball. And hopefully, as we always say, the people who are in charge of the game will be listening to these ladies, listening to them, and decide to, like, hear their cry. And this 3-on-3 was not just about Team NK and also MFM. You have teams from Oshogbo, teams from Port Harcourt, another Lagos team participating, you know, in the championship. It was about 8 or different teams that were actually there to take part in it, and all of them were really happy to play. Lagos Raptors, for instance, Foba Abeokuta, Dembes Queens from Lagos, Warland Queens were also there. You also have Fountain Queens, Amazon ladies from Lagos, Fingers from Ijebu. There's so many teams, but then at the end of the day, after all said and done, it was a Team MFM who won the championship. This is the very first edition, and the organizers are trying to say as much as possible they want to continue hosting this tournament. Let's just take a listen to the players, how excited they are being able to play the game of basketball.
Coming out of this game, we thought to redeem our name, because as everyone knows, we went to Abuja for the Mark the Ball tournament and we placed 6th. So we came here to redeem our name and to show people that, man, don't sleep on MFM. Like, we are coming out harder. So it starts from now till the league and every other tournament to come. The reason we didn't place like top 3 in the Mark the Ball tournament was because we didn't train that much. But seeing as we've come back to camp and then we'll start training in hopes for more tournaments, just one humble plea: please remember us. Don't just think of the international players. We are also basketball players, so they should remember us. I mean, what Mark did is good, and what the organizers of this tournament did is good. But at least we want to play a league. The Zenith League should be able to come back. It's been a long time, a very long time. Since 2019, we played 2nd there. And since that time, nobody has heard anything about the basketball in Nigeria. So please, anybody that is in charge, I beg.
Yeah, I've been organizing girls. I have my own team that do go for a tournament. But this one, I just decided to come in because I want to start playing, coming back to the game. So I just organize them. Let's go and play. Let's just have fun. At least come back to basketball. Please, they should try and do more tournaments like this. Do more tournaments, organize league for us. The girls need to play, the guys need to play. People in Nigeria need to play basketball. They should try and organize more tournaments for us, because that's what we're lacking. No, nothing is going on for the past 4 years in local league, which is not good. Which is not good. Please, they need to. We're pleading, we're begging. This is where some of us fit for. So let them try and organize more tournaments for them to come out and play. Our guys can't be running to Benin. Our guys can't be running to Benin to play basketball. You cannot compare we and Benin in basketball level. No, how can we be going to Benin to play basketball? Because there's no league. Please, we need more of this, more league, so that we can come together and play. This is what we love, and we've been paid for. So let them organize more for us to play.
So I'm thankful for the success of this competition. As you can see, there's smiles on everybody's face. I mean, every single girl I've looked at here is really happy, and that's what our intention actually is. We want to create an opportunity for female basketball players to participate in competitions in the country, and also a way of supporting grassroots basketball back home here. We hope that we can repeat this competition every other year, and even subsequently, maybe 3 times a year or 4 times a year. It will be a lovely thing, of course, if we can have other supports, and even without that, we'll see what we can do in the best of our own capacity.
When you have individuals actually commit together to organize the basketball championship, it tells you a whole lot of what is currently going on in Nigerian basketball, especially at home right here in Nigeria. Austin, I mean, Nkechi mentioned that people are going to Benin Republic to play basketball because they just want to play.
Just look at that. Just take a look at that Benin Republic, you know, with all of the talents that we have in Nigeria. And this, it's so painful, Cecilia. This basketball story hurts me so much because I know how this crisis started, you know. For 5 years now, we destroyed a structure that we have been building for so many years. So it's so sad. You see, this is what we're talking about. It hasn't blown to a full war now as we have in Ukraine and Russia, but persons are not just understanding the need for peace, for togetherness, to, you know, get productive and achieve results. The 3-on-3 is really big. Remember, I think about 2-3 years ago, we started a zonal competition in Africa. It's coming to the Commonwealth Games. And this is an avenue to get this young people busy and productive. They kept begging more tournaments, league. Did you see almost all of them said they want a league?
Yeah.
Hopefully our administrators will listen. Thank you so much, Celia, for, you know, beaming our searchlights on that one. We'll continue to monitor the progress of 3-on-3 basketball in Nigeria. Let's come back to our main, you know, focus for today. We talked about using football, sports in general, but football in particular, to foster peace in our society. And we strongly believe that someday, if we use it well, it can end all of this war that we're seeing between Ukraine and Russia. Viv Solomon Otabo is a Nigerian footballer. Cecilia, he just signed for Rook Lviv in Ukraine in January, and he was hoping to play for this club. He had big ambitions. Viv was right there in Ukraine before this war started. You know, it was a horrifying experience for him to, you know, escape and come back to the UK. He's right here in London with me. Let's welcome Nigerian professional footballer, Viv Solomon Otabo. Good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. I know it's tough, but let's just try to understand what happened in Ukraine before you got out. You were right there just before the war started. What sort of experience was it for you?
The experience, it wasn't so much as it wasn't a case that I was scared because where we was safe, but it was the reaction from other people, from everybody else that I know. You knew from what they were seeing on the news, you could tell it was very, very serious. But where we was, it was safe. But like I said, they had invaded. They came into, I think it was Kiev or something like. I don't know. I think it was Kiev they came into. So by the time, so in that moment, it was like, okay, cool. We have to get out of this country because you don't know where they're gonna come next. So luckily, we was able to go to the border in Poland to go home.
I know. Welcome back home, and I'm glad you're safe. You had big ambitions when you were signing for Rook Lviv. What happens now? Are there still hopes of you playing in Ukraine?
Well, as far as I know, we all know, the league right now is cancelled for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So up until then, we don't know what's happening, and obviously the new picture that they showed today, it doesn't look like it's getting any better. So as far as we are aware right now, literally no one knows what the situation is, what will happen this season. No one knows. So until maybe next 2 to 3 weeks, then we might know something. But as of now, no one knows anything.
Yeah, Solomon, a follow-up to that. Before you left Ukraine, what was the extent of damage right there?
Like I said, where we was, they didn't come to the city that I was, which thank God it was safe. But I think they hit a building in Kiev in the early in that morning, around 5, 6 in the morning. They hit a building in Kiev. So when I think my family, my friends, everybody saw this and they were like, "Listen, you need to come home now." So then that was when the club gave us solutions on how to get home, whether to go to the Polish border or to go through Romania. So we chose to go through Poland because it was quicker. But I was at the border for maybe 10 hours because there was a lot of cars, a lot of people were trying to flee the country. You could just see the fear in their faces. Everybody was calm, but at the same time, you could see the fear that, like, we're in a country where there's a war that's going on. It's not just any type of war. This war looks serious. So it was just something that I thought I would never have to see in my life. But in life, you never know. So, but it's good. It's just good to be home.
Your home, but what's the current situation of other Nigerian players in Ukraine? Do you know some other players that are still left behind? Do you know about that?
We have 2 young Nigerian players in the academy, and they're in the sports complex. They're staying there, which is very safe. So they're in good hands. In Lviv, where we are, where I play, is a safe zone. So all the players are there now. They're safe. Everything, they've been taken care of. They're safe. They're in their rooms. They just go on as their day normally because the area is safe. And I think 2 or 3 other clubs are coming to our training ground to stay, so that they can just be safe. So that's the only 2 Nigerian players that I know that are in Ukraine. I don't know about any other players.
Yeah.
Okay.
Viv, let us understand, how important is it for footballers like you, particularly the top stars, the Messis, the Ronaldos, how important is it for you guys to stand in solidarity with Ukraine and use football to ensure that we don't have this sort of wars anymore?
It's important, but there's only so much you can do because, like, everybody would use their name, their who they are to all to come together to try and show try and show unity and show that there's peace in life. But when you're doing that, but then there's people like the Russian president who's in charge, it's very difficult to kind of compete with that, because as we all see, he has his own reasons in his mind as to why he's doing this, and so no one can really tell him otherwise. But if everybody comes together, I'm sure it will spread awareness, and people will see that people are coming together to show this. But at the same time, it's very difficult because it's politics. We're sports people, so we can only do as much as we can, and hopefully the message gets across to them. But at the same time, with politics and what happens, it's no one knows. So it's just,
I know. So FIFA banned Russia from subsequent competitions, same as UEFA, and some Russian clubs, participating in Europa League have also, been suspended. And some football fans are saying that's not the way to go. But what do you think? I know that we're in a very difficult situation, but do you think the decision of FIFA and UEFA at this time is the right thing to do, particularly to those Russian clubs?
It's hard because it's the right thing to do for what their president is doing, but at the same time, the players are innocent, the people are innocent. It has nothing to do with them. So it's upsetting for them because they want to, they're now being stopped from competing and playing at top level, but at the same time, the disadvantage is that it's their country that are causing this disaster. So it's just a case where they have to just. It's just difficult because they're innocent. It's got nothing to do. They're not politicians. They're sports people. They just do their jobs. But then ultimately, it's their country that's causing this war. So it's right and it's wrong at the same time because it's not fair on the players, but it's a way to sanction the country for their president's actions.
I get you. Thank you so much, Viv Solomon Otabo, for your time. All the best with your career. I just hope that this crisis will end soon so you can get your football going again. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bola speaking to us right here in London. I just try to imagine what sort of experience he had right there in Ukraine, but we're glad that he's doing just fine. Cecilia, let's go on a quick break now. When we come back, I know you're looking forward to the next interview. I will not let it out yet till we come back from this break, so don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back to Sports Tonight on your award-winning sports-loving channels television. We're having fun, taking a look at what's going on in our world of sports, but in our hearts, we are praying for Ukraine, that the crisis, the conflict, whatever is going on in that country should stop, and we're super confident with that. We can use sports, particularly football, to stop all of the war that we're experiencing right there in that region. We spoke to Viv Solomon Otabo, Nigerian professional footballer. He just signed for Rook Lviv. You know, he had big ambitions, wanted to play in Ukraine, but the war is not letting it happen. Cecilia, I saw we struggled again to have that conversation with Viv, and it's just because of the situation. And you could tell that he also was just trying to stay calm, but it was a terrifying experience for him.
It was. I mean, he talked about 10 hours, trying to get out. I'm happy that he was able to. Not everyone is actually lucky. I mean, we've heard stories of people have to walk, hundreds of kilometers just to get to where they're going to. Some will have to stop at Romania. From there, they continue their journey. But he's one of the lucky ones. And he mentioned that where he's coming from, the war is really not there. And so most people even have to take shelter, in their own training ground. And mentioned some Nigerian players are there, and they're okay. And we're just hoping that the peace being experienced in that part of Ukraine will just continue. Because should it get there, those who are trying to, be there to be safe, I just don't want to think about it at all. It's something I don't want to think about. We're praying and hoping that peace will reign. I mean, they will come to the table. And, I'm just be diplomatic and talk about this and not using firearms, because it is really getting out of hand. So many sanctions on Russia, and yet they're not even, trying to, take a step back. Well, Austin, we'll leave Ukraine now and quickly talk about other issues going on across the world, especially when it comes to women's football. I mean, you talk about a special guest we'll be having tonight, and you didn't want to let the cats out of the bag. Should I do that for you right now, or you want to do it?
Let me give you the honors, because you are a big proponent of women's football, particularly in Nigeria. So, Cecilia, it's over to you.
All right. Our special guest this evening, of course, is someone everybody in Nigeria actually know about, especially the dance step that she gave to the Nigerians that came to watch the game between the Super Falcons of Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. I'm talking about Ashley Plumter. She will be joining us this evening to tell us, what it was like to make her debut for Nigeria. Yes, she switched allegiance like 2 months ago, right? So she's joining us tonight to talk more about playing for Nigeria and, of course, the hope of Super Falcons winning the Africa Women's Cup of Nations for a record 10 times. Ashley, how are you doing? Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
It's great to have you join us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to join.
It's great. Now, you happen to be the most, yes, we know, everyone in Nigeria know Asisa Toshola. Yes, you have to say Akbara Noze, you're Francisca Odega. But then, right now, you happen to be the most popular Super Falcons player right now in the country, in Nigeria. Do you know that?
Yeah, I guess so. When I was out there, I got a lot of warm welcomes, and people are sending me really nice messages. But, yeah, I've obviously always seen the likes of Oshuala and Franny, being in the limelight, and I never really expected that to be me.
Great. So what was it like playing in Nigeria for the first time? Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, no, it's one thing that I've wanted to be able to do for a while now. It's funny because my sister always wanted to come with me for the first time, but obviously going with the national team, I went by myself. My dad went when he was younger, but hasn't been back in years. So when I first went, it was all new to me. I mean, my granddad goes back all the time, but until I actually go myself, I didn't really know, what to expect, like what the welcome was going to be like, where I was going to stay, even like culturally, like being in Nigeria is different to being around Nigerian family here. But yeah, it was all a really good experience, and every little thing, even though it seemed like really minuscule in terms of some of the things that I was taking in, it was all big to me. Just, the environment, the weather, all of it.
Awesome, Ashley. Let me say welcome to you. Good to have you on the show once again. And you're so beautiful, Ashley. I just wonder how you do the beast mode, that when you get on the football pitch, you're something else. How do you do that switch?
Do you know what? I think I always have it in me, but obviously when I speak to you, I'm quite a smiley person, but when it comes to being on the pitch, I guess I bring out my physical side. I guess, it's my Nigerian side.
I know. We like it. So let's go back to the very beginning. How difficult was it for you to choose Nigeria over England?
Yeah, so obviously I played for England growing up, like youth age groups. But I feel like for me, my purpose in football has changed as I've grown. Like my journey has become a little bit different, and the reason why I play has changed as well. As much as I love playing football, I say this to people, and I've publicised this, I like to play for a purpose and a reason, and I know the impact that I can have by delving into my heritage more and representing another side of me that people aren't always familiar with. So for me, it wasn't just, as much as it is about football, it's what I can bring as a person, what I'm passionate about, and what I can represent more so than just myself.
Interesting.
Before I hand it over to... Okay, no, Cecilia.
Austin is okay. Yeah, Karen. All right, okay. I was going to ask you...
back to Cecilia. Yeah. You had the sort of debut performance that most footballers dream of. That first leg against Cote d'Ivoire in Abuja, the love you received from the fans, the sort of performance you put. Were you under any form of pressure? How did you come about that sort of performance on your official debut match?
I don't really know how I managed to deal with it. I've got to be honest, before the game, like in the hotel and even on the bus on the way to the game, I was like in tears because of how overwhelming the experience was. And that's before I even played. I think people almost like, they see you when you play and they see you after, but they don't actually see the whole build up. I'm quite an emotional person anyway, and I feel things quite deeply, and I knew how special that moment was for me. So going up into the game, I just tried to settle my nerves and focus on one thing, and just, for me, it was just doing my job on the pitch, and not trying to get too sidetracked by anything else that could have distracted me, because I knew the importance of the big game. I knew people were going to be watching, but ultimately I can only focus on the performance I put in at that time.
Yeah, interesting. And of course, because of that performance for the Super Falcons of Nigeria, had to break into the top 10 when it comes to women's ranking in the month of February. How does that make you feel?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, again, it's a surprise. Everything that's kind of come my way so far is a surprise. At the end of the day, I'm there to do a job, and I enjoyed the experience I've had so far, and being able to qualify for, the Nations Cup is just, wow. It's all come quite fast, to be honest. I don't really think, even like since coming home, I haven't had a lot of time to reflect on, I guess, the successes I've had. But yeah, at the minute, I don't feel like I'm at my best. I'm trying to be in the environment as much as I'm lucky to get called in. I want to be in the environment to learn and grow and get better. So especially the people you've mentioned already, like Assi said, there's so many players who aren't necessarily even big names, but I learn from a lot just by being around them. I mean, I think there's so many, I like to emphasize this, there's so many players that, don't necessarily get the attention, but I'm learning from them. And it just happens though that I'm getting the limelight, I guess, at the minute.
Yeah, interesting. Of course, for your club, the period you were with Nigeria, I mean, one of the games your club lost like 7-0 because you were not there. And I don't know how you feel when you get back and, that kind of result. Because I know Leicester is trying to avoid relegation, 12-league team, the Women's Super League in England. You know how hard it is. I mean, you've tried as much as possible to ensure that your club will avoid a relegation. What is it like right now, for Leicester women?
Yeah, it's tough, you obviously, for me, I haven't actually managed to go back into my environment at Leicester yet since returning from Abuja. I came back and I've struggled with a stomach bug, so I haven't been able to go into the environment. But yeah, it's tough being in that situation because I guess you're under pressure all the time. So for me, like we know that our main goal is to not get relegated, but we don't want to be focused on that and going into every game just thinking like we can't lose or we have to get a result, because ultimately, and I felt this, it takes away the enjoyment of being able to play the game and to perform your best because all you're focused on is the result. So yeah, for us, it's now we've got some good results and we're starting to play with a bit more confidence. I'm hoping that just stays the same now, and we kind of, even if we are, not backed by a bad result, it's not something that should completely knock us off the momentum we've been building already. So yeah, and I guess being in Abuja as well, like being with the national team, I can bring that, and I guess the confidence I've had being away with the national team, going back into club, I can bring that there and hopefully be a bit of a spark at club level as well.
Actually, I got talking to your dad before I reached out to you, and he kept going on and on about your passion for football. I asked him one question, and he said, Austin, when you speak to Ashley, ask her. So let me ask you, why did you choose football? Just look at you. Why football?
I don't think I've ever been asked that question. I actually was always one of those kids that grew up playing like every sport. I just wanted to be active. Like I played tennis a lot when I was younger. I played netball a lot. I did a lot of sports, but football was the one I stuck at because one, I enjoyed it the most, and two, it was probably the one I was like the best at when I was younger. And then I just stuck at it because I started playing when I was about 4, so it was the only thing I really knew. And I almost got in a routine of playing when I was younger. I just knew that I had training twice a week, I had games and at the weekend. And like I said before in one of your questions, the meaning to why I play has changed as I've grown up. I love playing football, but ultimately I love competing, and I love what sport overall brings to me and the people around me. So for me, it's it's just something I've stuck with because of what it brings out of me.
Yeah,
interesting.
Ashley, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Interesting. I mean, talking about that, yes, success, follows football. The respect and everything you get that comes with sport is a whole lot. And now, we know the Super Falcons will be in Morocco in July. And of course, all eyes will obviously be on you. I mean, the centre-back, the contribution you've made, especially in the qualifiers. What will be your target for the Super Falcons? Because in Nigeria right here, we know, I mean, everyone, whenever they are going for any championships at all, I mean, Super Falcons will have to win. There's nothing, there's no second choice. The first choice is win, the second choice is win, the third choice is come home with the title. So it's always like that. So for you, what would be a target for you? Because obviously you're going to be part of the team in July.
I guess it's to win then. I'm thinking actually. Obviously Nigeria has the longest run of winning these kind of championships, and there is the expectation that we have to perform and we have to be successful. And I'm under no illusion that that is the expectation going into it. And ultimately, that's what I aim for. I don't just play football just to be there. Obviously, I haven't even as well joined in the Super Falcons. I know my biggest fear was to join, and as much as it's nice to be loved now by the fans and the people of Nigeria. I don't just want to be there just to be there, because that's not enough for me. Like, I want to contribute, and in any way that I can contribute, I would love to be able to continue and sustain the success that the Super Falcons have had previously. So that's all I'm here to do. I'm adding to the team. Like I said, I'm still learning. I'm not cementing my place in there because I have a right to. I have to still earn my place, and hopefully, with not just on the pitch stuff, I hope that I bring, I'm also bringing a different culture to them, and I can speak to players and coach and staff and anybody I interact with in a way that kind of brings more camaraderie together. That, do you know what, I've never been on a team that has as much camaraderie as the team currently. It's great to be around.
Actually, let's talk about the second leg in Abidjan. How difficult was that game, and how did you ladies manage to stay together as a team and went on to achieve victory?
Yeah, it was tough because we knew the pressure of going, obviously, to the away leg. You have to deal with other things. So, the fans of Côte d'Ivoire, that's different than what we had, obviously, being in Abuja. And then we knew that they would come out with a force because they had to make up the deficit that, they'd already left from the first leg. And I got to be honest, I felt a different kind of nerves like going into that game, because I knew we just needed to come out with a result that would make us win on aggregate. So my first game, it was like the pressure of it being my first game. The second game was, okay, first game's out of the way, it's now making sure that we get this over the line so that we do qualify. And yeah, it was stressful. I don't think, it wasn't the nicest game of football I've played. It was a little bit stressful for both teams. I think we didn't connect very well as much as we would have liked to, but ultimately we fought more than, that's one thing I respect about these players that I'm around, is they will put their body on the line to make sure that they get a result. And as a defender, you want a clean sheet, and to be able to get that in 2 really competitive matches for the qualification of a big tournament, I mean, that's all we could ask for, really.
Awesome. Ashley, your fans are telling me to ask you this question. How Nigerian are you? What Nigerian food have you tried? What Nigerian music do you listen to? Let's begin with the food.
Yeah, so do you know what? I'm still getting there. I've got to be honest, my stomach's still trying to get used to some food, because honestly, when I came back, I was struggling. But I said this on my first camp when I went out there. I wanted to try everything because I don't normally have it. At home, I'm used to having more like British cuisines. As much as my stepmom cooks Nigerian food and I have it with my family here, it's different than having it in Nigeria. So my favourite food is moi moi, which I've had a lot of bad press about that, because people are like, moi moi, really? But honestly, I love it. I don't know if it's just because my stepmom makes it really well or my aunties make it really well, but I love moi moi. And it also isn't too spicy. Although when I was in Nigeria, I didn't think any of the food was too spicy for me. Like, my stepmom makes it more spicy with the Scotch bonnet. She uses way too many Scotch bonnets, but yeah, moi moi is my favourite. Obviously, jollof rice. My stepmom makes really good like fish soup as well. I know you're asking me about soups, but my stepmom's made fish soup. I couldn't really take the hot pepper soup when I was in Nigeria. That was a little bit hot, but yeah.
You listen to
no plantain like you can get it in Nigeria. Honestly, the best plantain I had was in Nigeria. I can't get it like that here.
Okay. Okay, Cecilia.
Before we let you go, I mean, you play for Leicester women, and Leicester for the men, we've got Demola Lukman. We have Kelechi and Acho, we are Wilfred Ndidi. How close are you with these guys?
You know what? I haven't met Lookman or Ndidi. I only recently met Kelechi because we did it's only just come out, like an interview with one of them. It was kind of like a game. So that was nice. He's exactly like what you see him like on TV is exactly what he's like in person. He's just very real, you know, very funny, laid back. So that was really nice to do. He actually had training right after that, so I didn't get to speak to him much, but he asked me like where I was, you know, staying when I was going away, like recently with this camp, and he wished me good luck for the games. So hopefully, yeah, in the coming months, we can have more of an interaction, but it's hard because we train at different facilities, so we don't bump into each other a lot.
All right, your nickname quickly before we go. The nickname that your teammates have given you at Super Falcons camp. Do you have anyone?
Nicknames. Honestly, not really. Most people just call me Ash.
Okay, because I've heard one Nigerian Oyibo. I mean, that's what I heard, but I don't know how true that is. Well, Ashley, I want to thank you so much for taking our time to talk to us on sports tonight.
Yes, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us. All right, we need to go on a break. We'll be back after this. All right, I mean, that was Ashley Plumter actually telling us about what club, country, and also her decision to play for the Super Falcons of Nigeria happens to be the most successful team when it comes to football in Africa. Of course, you can say the only team that have actually won a particular continental championship 9 times. Not even Germany or Team USA have been able to do that. So you know what it means for you to be a part of that team. So it's really something great. So our Nigerian Oyibo was able to talk to us this evening, and I hope most of you get to understand and know more about her, especially her decision to play for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Austin, I believe you enjoyed that interview so much, and you want to let it go. So I had to end it because that's not the full show.
She's so real. She's bubbling, always smiling, and you could tell that she's a top professional. You know, I got talking to her dad, Cecilia, and I was like, no, we need to bring Ashley on TV, you know. And she's the same thing she said about Kelechi Iheanacho. I saw the Q&A they both did. It was so fun because they are both, you know, in personalities, they're like for like, you know, and she's having a flying start in the Super Falcons. What a way to get into a team. That first game in Abuja, she was a stallion. Arguably the woman of the match. And then she went on to sustain that same performance in the second leg. She's a great addition to the Super Falcons.
Yeah, she's really great, and I believe Onomebi and the likes of Osinachi will be really happy having her joining them at the back. Okay, now let's quickly touch down on Nigerian Women's Football League match day 9. We'll get us talking. There's some games that will be played tomorrow, of course. Pelican Stars is one of the teams that will be in action tomorrow. They'll be up against Confluence Queens right there in Calabar. That's in Group A. Osun Babes and Niger Rattles will also be in action. Edo Queens will be hosting Adamawa Queens at the Samuel Ogbemude Stadium. There are other games also in Group B where you have the likes of Rivers Angels also in action. Bayelsa Queens also in action. Delta Queens also will be in action match day 9 of Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership. Abia Angels, FC Robo, Rivers Angels, and Delta Queens, Bayelsa Queens, and Sunshine Queens are the games that will conclude for match day 9 Nigerian Women's Football League. Austin, is getting interesting, and of course some teams are trying as much as possible to see if they can finish and qualify for Super 6, because it's not just after you're done with this marathon, you still have another sprint to run before you can even win the league title. It's a whole lot for these teams, especially the ones that are playing second fiddle right now.
But you need to first get through this first round hurdle. And then if you look at Group A, Edo Queens will say they might just have it easy against Adamawa Queens, or we know it doesn't just happen that way. But I really want to see what happens between Osun Babes and Niger Rattles, who, by the way, they've been impressive.
Yeah.
Not the kind of team that you underrate or push over. So I'd like to see the sort of push they can give to Oshun Babes. Pelican Stars, we know their story. Cecilia administration is making that team struggle. Let's see if they can come back. Then in Group B, Rivers Angels, Delta Queens. 10 years ago, that would have been the proper final.
Yeah.
Until Delta Queens started, the decline. But Rivers Angels, they've been making a big statement with women's football in Nigeria. So let's see what they can do against Delta Queens. Same as Abia Angels. Cecilia, I think 2-3 seasons ago, Abia Angels, they were making us believe that sort of team that can go all the way.
Yeah.
But it's not happening for them now. But good test against FC Robo. And of course, Bayelsa Queens. Sunshine Queen should also get us talking.
Yeah, these are the games that will get us talking tomorrow once we have the result. Of course, we'll come back here tomorrow to give you a comprehensive review of all the games that were played. And lastly, before we go, Nigeria Professional Football League, the NPFL games for Wednesday. Also, you have Akwa United and Wiki Tourist in action. Eyimba International and Remo Stars also in action. Gombe United and Abia Warriors, Katsina and Dakada also in action. That's our match day 16 of Nigeria Professional Football League. Some of the games we'll be looking at. Kano Pillars and Rivers United. Sunshine Stars and Heartland, Niger Tornadoes and MFM, Lobby Stars and Plateau United. Kano Pillars and Rivers United. Rivers United, after losing their unbeaten run, they haven't lost since then. But a visit to Kano Pillars, who are really hungry right now, be a tough one. Nassau United and Kwara United also in action. They have Shooting Stars and Rangers International. I mean, these old rivalry back in the days still on.
And that's night football, so it should really come with some good talking points. Rangers fans are already bragging that they're going to teach Shooting Stars some lessons. We'll know when it's played.
We know that. All right. I want to thank you so much for staying tuned on the program tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos. Have a good night.
It was fun doing this. Let's do this again in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember to keep talking sports. Bye for now.